Hey, everybody, welcome to Primetime Fantasy Podcast's live draft special for 2023. The Primetime Fantasy Podcast, where we give you our picks, our predictions, with the hopes that we help you prevail throughout the 2023 fantasy football season. I'm your host, Nick Giacobbe. Joining me is Nick Cap, who is my co-host for the show, but tonight is also my competition in our annual fantasy draft. So, Nick, it's draft day. It's your last draft of the season. How you feeling coming into draft day?
I'm pretty pumped. Me and Nick have been looking forward to this draft for a while. I think this is the 9th year that we've done this league. I want to
Something
say
like that. It's been a
so.
lot.
This has been a staple and a big bragging rights one. Where me and Nick, I feel like, have been competitive for the majority of the years, and it's always a good time. We went live last year for the draft, and it was a good turnout. You guys seem to enjoy it, so we're bringing it back this year, and we'll see how it goes.
So if you guys see me looking at my phone, which I'm doing right now, I have a lot to manage right now. Not only am I hosting and producing this show, I'm drafting, I'm coordinating with our league as I'm the commissioner, as trades might come through, and stuff like that. And I have a second draft tonight. So I'm going to pull us up here. Deshaun, he's excited for our draft. Deshaun is in my other draft. So I have two drafts tonight. I have the draft that me and Nick are doing. Then I have a draft in the league with Deshaun. Which is our wrestling Twitter league. That's how I found all those great guys and ladies. So I have a lot to manage, at least from hosting, commissioner, drafting, and I want to crush every part of that. So with that said, some plugs to get out of the way. If you want to support the show, if you want to find the show, we do the show every single week on all audio streaming platforms: iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor. Basically anywhere where you find a podcast, you can find us, the Primetime Fantasy Podcast. If you're on iTunes or Spotify, please give us a 5-star rating and a review. It really does help us out. If you'd like to support us by watching the show on YouTube, go to our YouTube channel, Primetime Fantasy Podcast. If you haven't subscribed already, smash that subscribe button, hit the little bell button to get alerts when we go live, when we post a new video like we're doing tonight. And make sure to drop a like on any video that you are watching. If you're watching this live stream, make sure you drop a like on this video. We'd appreciate that. If you want to support us on social media, you could do so. PrimeTimeFFPod on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, then Facebook and YouTube is Primetime Fantasy Podcast. So let's pull up the draft board here. This is the board. So Nick is picking from the
108.
The 108 spot. And we have keepers, the keeper league. So basically round 6 or later are your keepers. So it's round 6 or later and waiver players. So these are the keepers that we have selected. So really good keepers, Nick. I mean, I'm stoked about Olave. I'm bummed about guys like Garrett Wilson and Tony Pollard not being on the board. I would have loved to grab Madison. So definitely not going to get some players that I would love to, but really, really good keepers, I think, throughout the league.
Yeah, for sure. And it's something that, it's hard to prepare for your draft when there's keepers, but Sleeper does a good job where you can start mocking beforehand. You could put in those keepers and prepare. So I know me and Nick have done some fantasy drafts separately offline to prepare for the year. So I went with Madison as my keeper. For me, it was between him and George Pickens. But for me, not to spoil too much draft strategy, I like drafting receiver early this year. I've said it on the pod for the last 3 episodes. So if you're going receiver, for me, if I'm going to take a receiver in the first and maybe both first and second round, you want to lock up your RB2 / RB1 early. So I decided to go with Madison over taking a guy like Pickens, who has the potential to be a league breakout, but I prefer just taking a safe position with some high upside. And I think a guy that's getting pretty reached on in drafts right now. He's going in the, I want to say 5th, 6th, 7th round, depending on your platform. And I see him consistently going in the 5th.
Nick, I'm going to let you talk. My headphones have decided to die on me. So give me one.
Alrighty. I guess Nick's out for the count. So
let's, Nick, how about you recap? Well, I guess you don't want to recap your other drafts because you might give away some strategy.
I'll go through the keepers.
Sure, go through the keepers. Let's do that. Well, I go get some headphones.
Sure. So first we got Calvin Ridley kept by the first pick. Dave, a guy in our league. Ridley, solid player this year. I know there's a lot of high expectations for him coming out of the Falcons and getting this opportunity now with Trevor Lawrence to team up and kind of take over as the wide receiver one there. Hasn't played football in 2 years, but all the reports out of camp have been that he's the number one receiver out there, beyond talented. Everybody's seen the clip where Zay Jones, who's a pretty fast receiver, runs a runs a slant route and looks pretty good, and honestly was a crisp route. They see Calvin Ridley do it, and it looks like he just sped up Zay Jones's clip. So that's been going around lately, and Calvin Ridley to me is a guy where his ADP was set pretty high right out the gate, and he never really fell from that spot in the 4th round. And to me, he's worth taking the risk there. So getting him as a keeper, especially where they replace the last round of your draft, that was a really good steal. I know I was talking to Dave earlier in the year saying that I wanted to pick him up as my last waiver wire pick before the last week of the season, because if he's on your bench at the end of the season, you can keep him going into the next one. If you look at the number 2, you get Christian Kirk, his partner in crime, someone going a little bit later, but was so consistent and so much upside for your fantasy football leagues. Last year was a real league winner for a lot of people, going in I believe he was going in the 11th round last year. Really has another chance for a breakout. There's beliefs that, he could have that T. Higgins, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle role in that high-powered offense where even though he's the wide receiver 2 on the team, he could finish as a top 12 guy. So another guy with high upside. In this league, we have 2 receiver, 2 flex. So keeping those receivers is very important and helps you fill your lineup out. You can see 7 of the 12 teams have receivers here. So a lot of upside. Then you go into other second-year breakouts. You have Garrett Wilson in there, Chris Olave for Nick's team, Nick and Joe. 2 remarkably talented year 2. Me and Nick always say year 2 receivers tend to have that fantasy breakout, and those are the guys that you're really looking for in your drafts. I mean, those guys really do break out and win you your league. So both of them going 2nd, 3rd round. A lot of beliefs both will outperform ADP. Both of them get massive QB upgrades going into the year, and the ADP clearly saw that, and that's why they got as big of a jump. As the resident Jets fan on the podcast, we all know I love Garrett Wilson, and I'm a little disappointed because he's someone I wanted in at least one league this year. This is the last draft, and could not get him anywhere. He's going to get kept in this one. So Joe, who I know is in the chat, maybe you'll get a ridiculous trade offer at some point this season for him. Let's take a look at some other receivers here. We got DeAndre Hopkins, change of scenery, going over to the Tennessee Titans. That's a big one. Beyond talented, has been a top 5 receiver for feels like the last 6-7 years of his career. And now he goes to what we know as the wide receiver purgatory of the Tennessee Titans, where guys, Julio Jones, and potentially this guy in DeAndre Hopkins could fall off a cliff going behind Ryan Tannehill, but I do think he's going to be very solid. I think he's been the most talented receiver. I don't think he's fallen off that age peak cliff yet. But he's still beyond talented. I don't know if he's a top 10 receiver anymore, but more than talented to have a good workload there.
All right, I'm kind of back. This is easily the most ridiculous thing I've ever had to do. So these headphones, I definitely need new headphones just to charge them basically every single time I have to use them, because they were fully charged a day or 2 ago, and now they are kind of dead, which does suck. So I have a portable charger box here because I don't have a long enough cord. So it's kind of, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it, but we're going to figure it out, and that's okay. So I did say it earlier, I am running 2 drafts tonight, or I guess I'm participating in 2 drafts, running one of them. I am running the one that me and Nick are in, obviously, and then I'm participating in the other draft as well. So this is going to be hectic. I have the 3 pick in me and Nick's draft, as you can see here. I kept Chris Olave, and I'm very excited about that. I traded for him late in the season, knowing that he was a keeper option. I'm very, very excited about that. I'm trying to target Olave in almost all my leagues. So I'll be targeting him in my other league where I do have the 7 pick. And I got some options here. I mean, Stephon Diggs, Bijan Robinson, Travis Kelce. So I will have some options in that league, which is very, very nice. So I'll keep you guys updated, although it might be a little bit confusing, but that's okay. We are, I guess, a minute away. Looks like everybody's in except for our buddy Palmer. I'm sure he's going to join. I don't think he's going to auto pick. He's
usually the draft day champion. I feel like every year. I feel like me and Nick every year look at his team and go, he got the guy.
He always has a good team. He's always a formidable opponent.
I feel like the guy that I feel is screaming at me that he's going to grab is Jonathan Taylor, because he always gets the one superstar that falls and falls and falls, and you're like, is he going to succeed? Is he going to hit? And then he always gets the guy that hits that fell way too deep in your draft.
Do I need to press start draft? I might need to.
Yep, everybody is in.
Alrighty.
Beautiful.
I do have the clock at 3 minutes so people can make trades.
Okay, interesting. Hopefully no one uses the 3 minutes.
So you can trade draft picks and picks.
Ready. It's the 101, and there goes Jay Jettas. Nick, is Jay Jettas the right pick at the 101?
He is, although I think Chase could outscore him this year.
I agree with you on that. I think he's the safest player in the draft out of anybody.
Okay, so my other league looks like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson went. Sure. I don't know what. I did put the 3 pick up for grabs as well.
Right, Nick is on the clock.
3 picks up for grabs.
Jefferson and Chase. Nick is on the clock. CMC, the top guy on the board. Eckler, number 2. Travis Kelce, 3.
So I did just text the 3 pick is available. So I'm going to give it about a minute and just see if anybody does kind of bite on that.
Okay. So we are doing trading of picks this year in Sleeper. It's the first time we're ever trying this out. You can only trade this year's picks, though. So there will be no trading for next year or 2 years down the road. This is not a dynasty league. This is a keeper league, and there's always a chance someone could drop off. So I back Nick's decision on that one.
Yep. So I don't love my options here. I don't really love McCaffrey. So I'm going to take Travis Kelce, that I think is a. He goes. If I gave you like no, you're ridiculous. No, I'm taking Travis Kelce. So Kelsey's a very safe pick, I think. I just don't have the faith in McCaffrey playing all 16 games. With also my kind of worry about, what they're going to do in that 49ers offense. So that's kind of where my views on Kelce are. And he's automatic. It's an automatic 15 to 20 points, every week. And every time Mahomes is in one of those 2-minute drills, it's automatic.
I agree with you on that one.
Your brother said to me, if I gave you my 2nd and 3rd for your 1st and 5th, that's ridiculous.
That is absurd.
Come on.
Some people, man. Unbelievable.
All right, so I am up next in my other league.
There goes Cheetah.
I'm going to let Nick kind of manage that board while I'm looking at the other league as well, because again, this is traffic. So my other league, I'm picking 7. So the few here are Chubb, Diggs, Bijan Robinson, and Kelce. We'll see how I'm feeling after this next pick. And McCaffrey went at 6. I'm surprised he got the 6.
So I'm on the clock now, the top 7 off the board, and you got some guys falling a little.
You got to be absolutely giddy that 3 running backs just went before.
Yeah, for me, I've been mocking, and like I said earlier, I like receiver early this year. Eckler at the 7th overall is a good value, but having already kept a running back that I feel confident in my RB2, I'd rather take one of these superstars. And to me, there's only one guy left in that first-tier receiver, and Stephon Diggs. So I will lock in the Bills wide receiver 1.
I actually just passed on Diggs at my 7, and I took Kelce ahead of him.
Took Kelce in 2 leagues.
I took Kelce in 2 leagues, and I think I'm going to get a receiver on the back end of that. So that's why I did take Kelce, thinking I could stack him with a nice receiver.
Gotcha.
Austin Eckler, I think, is a steal at 9. And I think Austin Eckler can finish as the running back 1 this year. I'm serious about that. I would take him over any running back. I don't trust McCaffrey, as I stated. I think McCaffrey could finish as the 1, obviously. Super duper talented, obviously. So not knocking him, but I stay clear. I think I'd rather take a shot on Austin Eckler, who's finished in the top 3 the last 2 years, or maybe even Bijan Robinson. I think I'd rather, wait until pick 8 or 9. Obviously, you can go 8 or 9 here, but I'd rather wait for Bijan Robinson and take a shot on him.
I love the upside of Robinson this year. I mean, me and you talked about it on the last episode of the podcast. There's probably it's hard to say, but there might not be a safer pick at running back than Bijan Robinson this year. No injury history, monster running back going into a system that has always been running back favorable, where the head coach is the former offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans, in Arthur Smith. Is it Arthur? Yeah, Arthur Smith. Um, phenomenal system, and he's going to go into a situation where he could potentially see 60 pass attempts this year.
I did update it to 2 minutes, by the way. So I'm gonna let the league know.
All right, we go through the rest of the first round, finishing off with CeeDee Lamb, Nick Chubb, and then Amon-Ra. It's the last pick of the first round.
It's an awesome
Stacking
pick.
him with AJ Brown. That's a solid duo.
I love that. I wish I had those first 2 picks. Honestly, I'm all over AJ Brown. So that's Jared at 12. He's our champion, our only 3-time champion. I don't think anybody's won 2 either. So he's our only champion over 1. He's been a very stout fantasy player to go to war with over the last couple years. And the thing about Jared is he had a dominant team year 1. He won the points. He was, we do give a payout for points. Great team our first year. And he didn't win the championship. Went to the championship and lost to the 6th seed at the time. So he did get upset there. And his 3 championships that he's won, he was actually the underdog in all 3 of his championships. So he has a knack for getting hot at the right time. In December. So in my other league, though, I'm in round 2, so I got Kelsey round 1, and I have some options here. Chubb went, Pollard went, Saquon Barkley went, Derrick Henry went, and I have Amon-Ra St. Brown kind of staring at me. I don't know where. I was looking to see if Garrett Wilson was there, but I don't see him. I don't see if anybody took him either. Maybe my thing is not updating me. Because that's kind of weird. Oh, there it is. There's updates. Okay, so Garrett Wilson did go right before. So I am going to take Amon-Ra St. Brown. I have him in a league already. I think starting off with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Travis Kelce is an excellent start. I'm pretty stoked about that in my other 12-man league.
Is that a full PPR?
I believe it is.
He's a beast in full PPR.
Yeah.
There's potential. There's like 3 guys in the NFL that could see 200 targets this year. If fully healthy, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, and Amon-Ra. I think Amon-Ra is one of those guys. And to get him in the second round as your wide receiver 1 when you already got who should be the locked-in tight end 1 in fantasy, the biggest positional advantage in the league, that's a very good, strong way to start your draft.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. Okay, so now we kind of talk about this, guys, that, maybe you really wanted in a league but not going to get in one. For me, it's AJ Brown. He's now eluded me in all 5 of my leagues. One of them's a dynasty, so of course he kind of eluded me there, but just didn't work out. And that's unfortunate because I really love AJ Brown. I think he could be a top 5 wide receiver this year. Yeah, so I'm disappointed that I'm not going to have AJ Brown in a league this year.
Yeah, he's somebody that I was looking at and could not land. Okay, so I am now in a interesting position. So there's 3 guys I'm staring at on the board. Number 1 is Josh Jacobs. I do like taking the RB1 here. Was a monster last year, and his ADP did not adjust yet. The concerns of why it was low was purely because of the contract controversy. So he's someone I'm definitely interested at this pick. Number 2 is Cooper Kupp, but that hamstring injury, if he's out for significant time this year, which me and Nick always say are 2 least favorite words when it comes to injury, is hamstring and groin.
Hammies are a rough one.
That's a little concerning. I do also have a share of Cooper Kupp in another league, so that does sway me away against it a little bit. But if Kupp does play fully healthy the entire year, taking him in the second round is clearly the steal of the draft, which is why it is tempting. But this year, the first time ever, we are doing 6 points per passing touchdown. And that is going to make the QB position more valuable than ever. To put it into perspective, if a quarterback throws for 40 touchdowns versus 30 touchdowns, that's a difference of 40 points on the entire season. So a guy that would have scored 120 points in the air, scoring now 160. If you're going for the late round quarterback, you're going to get a guy in the 20s or young 30s. If you get a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, you're looking at a guy that could go for 50 touchdowns this year and 6 points, 50 touchdowns. I'm going to stack right now. I'm going to go Stephon Diggs and I'm going to pair him with Josh Allen. It's
Oh,
a
wow.
bold pick to take quarterback early, but I mean, a touchdown in this league, a passing touchdown from Diggs and Allen, that is a 20-point swing based on how far it is and maybe more.
That's the Palmer stack that he normally goes with. He does like that stack a lot.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I like Nick's running back. So Nick took Cooper Kupp here. Other Nick in our league, we have a lot of Nicks. Nick M had Cooper Kupp as his keeper, and then he stacked up Austin Eckler, who like I said, I think could be the running back 1, and then Derrick Henry, who I think has been criminally underdrafted.
I agree with that as well. Henry, I took in another league. The start I had was Kupp and Henry, with my keeper being Devontae Smith. So
he's another one I'm just not going to get in any of my leagues. So I'm 3 picks away now.
Jahmyr Gibbs going in the second round. I've seen him going early in a lot of drafts. And I can't fully get behind the second round pick, but he's a guy that I wanted to get in the third round in a lot of leagues this year. Rookie running backs, they tend to hit when they go that early in the draft. And draft day, I know a lot of us were saying like this is a little ridiculous. Like why is he going early? But the reports were a lot of teams were interested, and a lot of teams were really disappointed in how things.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, I have a couple guys that I'm eyeing here. I mean, there's some really solid names down the list. So we'll see where I kind of want to land once this pick happens. Already got 2 quarterbacks off the board.
Yeah. I mean, 6 points per passing touchdown is huge this year.
I'm also 2 picks away in my other league, and I have a couple guys, almost the same guys on the board here. T. Higgins, Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, DK Metcalf. So I do have some, kind of the same options on the other side of the board. Obviously, Josh Jacobs is here too.
Just to explain how big of a difference it is, because I don't think the league really accounted for it in the ADP.
Oh, there goes Josh Jacobs. I would have liked to take Jacobs there.
That would have been a good pick for you.
Yeah, it is a pretty big difference. I'm gonna make my pick first. So I am around a couple guys here. I don't have a running back. Don't love these running backs, so we're gonna wait a little bit. Let's go with. You know what? I'm going to try to just let's start a train here. Let's go with Jalen Hurts really early.
It's the 2 onesies off the bat.
I do not love taking the quarterback early, but I already see 2 have gone. I said Hurts could be my quarterback 1. I think he's going to throw for a lot of touchdowns. He could also run for a lot of touchdowns. I think this is going to make a big difference. And I'm kind of hoping, now that my quarterback's out of the way, I could kind of get some people to maybe jump on quarterback here. That's my hope over the next 2 rounds. I'm not obviously here. I'm not taking quarterback, but I'm hoping by the time I come back to 410, Lamar is available. A couple other guys are available that I really like.
Now, so just to put it a little more in perspective, let's say you take Trevor Lawrence, who's I think a very good quarterback value. If you take him and let's say he throws for 30 touchdowns this year, which is a good number in the NFL, it's about 2 per week. It's very good for fantasy in a 4-point per touchdown league. Let's say Josh Allen goes for 50 touchdowns this year. That's a difference of 80 fantasy points across the length of the is it 80? It's more than that. It's hold on. Let's do some quick math. So 30 touchdowns times 6 points per touchdown is going to be 180 points over the course of the season. If you score 50 touchdowns and multiply by 6, that's 300 points over the course of the season. That's a 120-point swing. It means Josh Allen is going to be almost twice as good as Trevor Lawrence is at that ADP. So it's a lot of reason why in 6 points per passing touchdown, quarterbacks tend to go actually a lot more in the first round than they do in the second.
So in these 2 leagues, I have a combined 0 running backs so far.
Interesting.
My headphones
I don't have any running backs either. So, oh no, I do have Madison. Whoops.
Let's see if this takes charge or not. It should be.
For me, I think Dave has a clear pick that I would go with. Based
Who is it? A curiosity, or you don't want to say it because you think?
I'll wait for him to make the pick because it's a player that I want if he comes down to me. So Dave also following the quarterback strategy, going QB early. which, like I said, I think it's the right way to go this year. And for this,
Nick, your lady asked why no quarterbacks go early. So basically, at least my recollection, at least, is that quarterbacks don't normally go early because it is not a position of need per se when there's so much other talent, and you can find some diamond, um, later on in the draft. So I make my pick here. I did go DK Metcalf in my other league, and I really do like DK. I think he's the alpha dog over there. I've been saying it. But I'm not going to take him in this league because there's a guy that I do want. I'm going to take Keenan Allen here. I did want to get Keenan Allen in one league. Didn't think he's going to come back to me in this other league, so I am going to take Keenan Allen here. The reports coming out of camp are phenomenal. I do always get worried about Keenan Allen with his injury history. He's a bit older, but he's Herbert's number one target. Herbert can possibly throw for the most yards in the league this year, and a lot of those can go to Keenan Allen. I think they're going to be down in a lot of games. I don't like their defense. I think they'll be throwing a lot. Kellen Moore is over there now and should use him like CeeDee Lamb was used. So really, really excited about that pick. So let's go back to Victoria's question as to why quarterbacks don't normally go early. I just think it's because you could find a really good quarterback later on in the draft that maybe breaks out. Jalen Hurts last year was going in like round 10, ended up quarterback 2 or 3. A guy like what's his name on the Bears, Justin Fields, obviously maybe undrafted in most leagues, finished in the top 5, and there's Trevor Lawrence finished in the top 10. He was going undrafted, so it's a position you normally can wait on.
yeah, and usually the value at quarterback, you could find it later, like Nick said, but the gap between the quarterback 1, 2, 3, and like the quarterback 7, 8, 9, 10 is not as big as the wide receiver gap or the running back gap. Like the running back 1 or 2 in fantasy football has such a big difference from the running back 20, which is usually going in those later rounds. So if you could take a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes in the first round, or you could take an elite wide receiver or running back. I'll make the pick here real quick. The guy I was hoping would fall on, who I said that I thought Dave should take, is Joe Mixon, and I'm more than ecstatic to lock him in as my RB1, considering how I started off my draft. But just real quick to finish up the quarterback question, you can either take let's say you had my pick, for example. Let's say you went Josh Allen in the first round. And let's say in the 6th round now, you take a guy like J.K. Dobbins, for example. Josh Allen and J.K. Dobbins both could have very good years, but would you rather have that combination? Would you rather have Austin Eckler and take a guy like Trevor Lawrence, who's going right near that ADP? For I think a lot of fantasy experts, that's really going to be consensus.
So it's interesting. Like everybody in my queue is now being overdrafted in my other league. Keenan Allen just went. Alexander Madison just went, and I was kind of waiting on a guy like that. So that is disappointing. That I did miss out on those guys. Jahmyr Gibbs just went in that league, so I'm gonna take Justin Fields, and I'm not a huge believer in Justin Fields, but this is a league where quarterbacks have gone early. The next few are Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Daniel Jones. I'm going to take a shot on Justin Fields here. Nick kind of convinced me on him with the stats he had put in our last show, that quarterbacks that rush normally really don't drop out of the top 5 when he has all that rushing upside. So I'm going to trust Nick on that one and give him a shot.
I don't believe necessarily in the talent of Fields, but year 3 quarterbacks tend to break out. He was on pace to break the record for most rushing attempts by a quarterback in a single season. Should he stay healthy this year, he is going to easily do that. Quarterbacks that have over 7.5 rush attempts per game over the last decade, every single one of them has finished as a top 6 quarterback. The one that was number 6 was Justin Fields last year, who only played 13 games. The other guys all finished in the top 3. So the upside of Justin Fields is massive in this league. However, with the passing touchdowns being so much more valuable, Justin Fields, I would say his ceiling this year is probably 35 touchdowns. Justin Herbert, who's going right back with him. Justin Herbert has the upside of a 50 touchdown season with Kellen Moore at his OC with those wide receivers.
Okay, so Palmer goes, don't worry, Diggs and Allen will let you down when it matters most. I wonder what game he let him down in. Didn't have many bad games last year. I think I'm going to bump this clock to 90 seconds because this is a little long. There goes Terry McLaurin. I'll hold my thoughts on Terry McLaurin for now. All right, let's see. Let's look at who's available for Jared here, our champ. You can take Brees Hall. Me and Nick have some very mixed opinions on him. Jonathan Taylor's still there. The quarterback drop-off is coming. Look at the quarterbacks here. Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, and there's your drop-off. If I was Jared, I think I would jump on Justin Herbert, one of his 2 picks here. I know he probably wants a running back, maybe a tight end. Here are the running backs: Brees Hall, Aaron Jones, Kenneth Walker, Jonathan Taylor. Tight ends: George Kittle, Darren Waller, Dallas Goedert. He's a Giants fan. Might jump on Darren Waller. And his keeper is Ramondre Stevenson. So he already does have a back. So I think quarterback would be a good move here for him. Doesn't affect me, as I already have a quarterback, and so does Nick. So I can give my honest opinion on that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Herbert has to be one of these 2 picks for him. And then I probably look up to solidify your running back position. I think there's a lot more receiver talent down the board, and unless you're going to reach for your guy, there's no point in taking it. And for me, I don't like taking the 2 onesie positions very early. So if you're going to go quarterback early, you could wait on the tight end a little bit.
In this other league, all these good running backs are going. They're all going. I'm going to have some really stinky running backs. But it's okay, because Kelsey, Amon-Ra, and Metcalf will make up for it. I'm clearly just very anti-running back right now. In my other leagues, I did take some running backs a little bit early. Okay, so Nick Palmer went complete 0 running back there. He did keep Tony Pollard, though, so maybe not totally 0 running back. That's probably the way to go.
My only question for Palmer is he went CeeDee Lamb and kept Tony Pollard. Like, for me, that usually puts a ceiling on your team. I know Dallas is a high-powered offense, but they've openly talked about trying to slow it down a little bit and pace out the season and not worry so much about scoring 40 points. They want to keep their defense off the field a little bit more, keep them more rested, and that's kind of where their downfall came late in game, second half. They were out there so much just because sheer time. I mean, the Dallas offense got in and out of the field. They were either throwing an interception with Dak or they were going down the field for a touchdown. There was really no in between for them.
I wonder if Jared is listening, because he did go and take Justin Herbert, and I think it's a very good pick. I think Jared's got a really good team so far. I do not love the Drake London pick, though. I'm kind of all out on him, but the rest of this team so far is phenomenal. It's going to be a tough team to compete with.
I totally agree. I think that's that could be the downfall. But like we said, he did go receiver early. Me and Nick both see the writing on the wall where we think Drake London's going to be a bust this year. We always target year 2 wide receiver breakouts, but Drake London in that offense, he's probably not going to see a lot of opportunity. There's going to be a lot of passing and running work. They were the number 1 rushing team in the league last year, between quarterback and the 2 running backs. So why would they turn away from that when you went with the 8th overall pick to Bijan Robinson? And Drake London's a very solid receiver. Will probably put up a good fantasy year, but I think the lows are going to be real low and the highs don't feel so high to me.
Jared is listening, because he's texting me, Drake London is my boy. All right, well, he is a 3-time champ, so he might be onto something.
Can't argue with the champ.
Even if we are both all out on him, he could be onto something. And Jared, if you're listening, I am being honest. This is an excellent team. I would have loved to kind of swap my picks. I do like keeping Olave over Stevenson, but obviously didn't have that option. But these first 3 picks, I would swap them with mine. I mean, they're great. Like all around, just having these 2 receivers paired with the quarterback, and you have the running back already, just excellent.
Looks like we have our first auto.
We just got our first auto pick, and he auto picked Brees Hall, so not a bad auto pick in my opinion.
All right, we got Palmer now on the clock. Top of the board is very running back heavy. Let's see what he decides to do here. So in this range, we did have a lot of those wide receivers kept. DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Amari Cooper, 3 of which that stick out that were going in this range. So that's why you're seeing the top of the board is very running back heavy, and then you have Trevor and 2 of the top tight ends up here.
So in my other league, I'm entering, I think, round 4, maybe around 4 or 5. And I do desperately need a running back at this point, unless there's a receiver that I really like. My turn is next. So I have two running backs I really like here. I'll be happy if I get either of them, James Cook or David Montgomery. And Jonathan Taylor's there too, which is another interesting wrinkle to throw in there. I'm intrigued by that, but I'll take one of those two running backs when they swing back around to me. I am up next, and I think the guy is auto picking ahead of me, so I think he's going to auto pick Nick's boy Miles Sanders, who I am also out on. And there goes Darren Waller in our league. So Darren Waller is really interesting prospect because he's 31 years old, had a couple injuries, didn't have a phenomenal last year, but he's primed to be Daniel Jones's number one target. You follow the money, he went and got paid over there. So Palmer has a complete zero running back strategy here. Has Tony Pollard. So excellent start for Palmer. He'll be another juggernaut in the league as always.
So I'm looking at the top of the board. I don't love the picks here. I got my two running backs locked up. I got my quarterback locked up. I got my wide receiver one locked up. I do want to add to the wide receiver depth because there is a lack of talent, to say the least. The next guy off the board is Christian Watson. Not in on him. Don't like Godwin here. I am going to target Brandon Ayuk. I think there's massive upside for a breakout. Going a little bit further down the board, but I'd rather lock up the wide receiver.
He's a guy I think a lot of people are all in on right now. A lot of people are all in on. I'm personally not, because that 49ers team is a little tough to handle with everybody on the offense. But yeah. So I am now 3 picks away. I did just pick in my other league. Got some interesting options for me when my pick comes around. So we'll see. We'll see where the picks are. We could get a little bit of a tight end stretch here. So Darren Waller went. We'll look at the other tight ends that are available. Kittle, Dallas Goedert, Kyle Pitts, Evan Ingram, Njoku. So we will eventually get a tight end run here. And most 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 quarterbacks have gone. So your quarterback run is kind of gone at this point.
Yep. These are really the top 8 quarterbacks for fantasy. There's like a massive tier drop off for me after these 8 guys.
I think that's for a lot of people when they're doing their. There are a couple guys I do like at this position, but we'll see where I kind of land.
For me, I was hoping that Waller would fall at my pick, but unfortunately, he got picked a little earlier.
Yeah, that's why
we are New York based this league, so a lot of these guys, like the Jets guys and the Giants guys, get a lot more love than in other leagues as well. Although I do love the pick here. It's why a guy like Barkley goes 107 here, where for me, he's fallen out of the first round in almost every draft.
All right, there goes George Kittle. So we might get a little bit of a tight end run here. I'm picking next. Let's see where I'm in my other league. I'm a little bit away in my other league. So yeah, I mean, there's some guys. There's some guys I could look for. There's definitely some guys.
Jonathan Taylor staring right at the top of the board. Nick, is Jonathan Taylor a guy you will target?
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance he's on my team in the next pick, and it's either gonna really fuck me. Well, I probably shouldn't be saying that on there, but that's okay. It can really screw me, or it could become a league winner. So that might be the guy I target with my next pick, but we'll see if he's gone, and I don't even have to make that decision.
And with our league, we have an IR spot, so you can throw Jonathan Taylor there for 4 weeks and pick somebody else off the waivers. Although whoever you take in the unspoken 17th round of this draft is not going to be as good as Jonathan Taylor, or like a guy like Dameon Pierce, Miles Sanders, J.K. Dobbins also at the top of the board.
Yeah.
Like we also said, this league is a keeper league, so anybody drafted in the 6th round or later is eligible to be kept. So keep your eyes out on that.
There goes Dameon Pierce. I know he'll be on my bench for 4 weeks. We have an IR spot. I just can't pass up Jonathan Taylor around 4, really 5. Just too talented. And again, it might really bite me in the butt, but I have to go for it.
I like the move. I do. I was thinking about him at my spot, but I don't know.
I just didn't love the running back options.
I agree with that. And for your team, you needed to fill running back. So you take a guy that could be a league winner if he comes back after 4 weeks or gets traded or is willing to play at all this season, it's big risk, high reward, and
Yep.
it's what you need to win a fantasy championship, not just to be a good fantasy team. There goes Miles Sanders, back of the 4th. But like I said, this is a keeper league, so in the 6th round, anybody drafted there or later will be eligible to be on your team at no cost the following season.
So we are not in round 6 yet. This is round 5. I am going to bump the pick down to, I am bumping it to 90 seconds. If we need to bump it back up, we can, but I did say I was bumping it to 90 seconds.
Good call.
All right, there goes Cam Akers.
If I'm Nick here, I think I know the guy I would target personally.
Yeah, we'll see.
I won't say it until after your pick because I don't want to sway you.
Well, you might want this guy too, or you're not targeting him.
No, it's not for my team.
Gotcha. Cool. All right, so we say get our guys, right? I need to go get my guy. I'm going down the draft board. I am reaching here. I believe in George Pickens big time. I'm going 16 picks up because I don't think he comes back to me. I really believe in him. It is a reach, but it's a reach I'm willing to take as my wide receiver 3. I think there's a chance in its offense Pickens ends up as the wide receiver 1 by the end of the year. I love targeting my wide receiver 2s. I had to go do it. So again, it could really bite me in the butt. But when I look at some of these other receivers on the board, I mean, Godwin, I think will have a really good year. Lockett might get outsnapped by JSN by the end of the year. Michael Pittman's there. So Mike Evans is always a beast too, but I had to go get my guy to make sure that I got him. Unfortunately, I will not be able to keep him next year. But I could not take the risk of him not coming back to me.
Sure. The guy that I would have targeted went out right off before you would have been Alvin Kamara. I would have went with
about that one too.
Screw the running backs, and then week 5, you pray that you have the 2 best later drafted guys, punt on the position, and then just take the guys with high volume at the end of the draft. That's like the starters that are undrafted. So maybe like a Zach Moss, a Jamal Williams, a David Montgomery, a guy that'll probably get volume the first 2-3 weeks of the year.
Nope, you're not wrong. But and Kamara obviously wasn't there, so I couldn't even. I didn't even have that option. So my other league, I'm in a similar position, and I need a running back. And Jonathan Taylor is staring me in the face, and I have him on a 3rd team, so I can't really do that. So I am not going to take Jonathan Taylor there. I can't do it.
Sure. In our league as well, it is a 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 receiver, 1 tight end, 2 flex, kicker, defense. I would like kickers permanently removed from the league, but I didn't recommend it. So
you love your kickers.
I love my kickers. I have not decided what I'm drafting here yet, so I'll talk it through real quick. I like Dallas Goedert here to fill a position of need. But I do think if I take him, I'm going to struggle at the flex. So because I went Allen so early, I do think I need to punt on the position and wait and just pray that one of these later tight ends hits. Right now, I have a team that's really going to be volume dependent with upside. Ayuk might be the upside play with low volume. So maybe I look for a guy that'll have big breakout games that can win you a week. So I think I will take Keenan Allen's partner in crime. I will go Mike Williams. A guy that in our league with the bonuses, if he gets a 40-yard touchdown, it gets a little 2-point boost. Not really the differentiator of why I take the pick, but I do believe in that Chargers offense this year, just like Nick does with Keenan Allen. I think Keenan Allen's a phenomenal pick where you got him. I was hoping he fell to me in the 3rd. But he should be a monster breakout, re-breakout candidate if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, I was either going to go with Keenan Allen or DK Metcalf, and I went with Keenan Allen. So Nick has not gone wide receiver. So Nick's only receiver right now is Amari Cooper. 3 running backs. He has gone a 0 wide receiver strategy, opposite of 0 running back.
I like it.
The guys were there. He got his guys.
Yep. I mean, listen, that's all you could do.
I'm not sure if I like my Hurts pick. I'm really not, because I mean, looking at it, I would not get a top quarterback. One would, I mean, I could have taken a guy like Lamar here, maybe, but I still would have taken Keenan here. I wouldn't have taken any of these guys over him. So I really would have punted that position. That's the only pick that I'm really like scratching my head on. I didn't like the 3 spot. I really didn't. I felt like I was almost
So
locked into Kelsey. I just didn't like it. So
I think based off how the board fell, Hurts was the right pick, because your next choice would have been ETN. You clearly wouldn't have taken Andrews. You wouldn't have taken Lamar or Burrow. So you probably would have gone Keenan Allen anyway. And then you fall to Burrow or Lamar Jackson in the next round if you go quarterback, or you get your guy DK Metcalf
yeah,
on quarterback. So I think you made the right pick there.
yep, maybe we'll see. We shall see. We'll see what happens when we come back. So we're in round 5. We're about to finish round 5. In my other league, we're in round 6. We're about to finish round 6. I'm about 7 picks away. In that league, I do need another running back, and then my starting roster is finished. So I probably will go another running back unless I don't like any of the running backs, which is possible. It's possible I don't like any of the running backs on the board at that point. And if you guys watching have any questions, you could drop them in the chat. We'll happily answer them. We could talk some draft strategy if you have drafts in the next 2 days. I'm sure a lot of drafts are finished, but this is kind of the week to really do your drafts. You don't want to really wait.
Agreed.
All right, so Nick's team right now, Nick has 3 receivers. He has 2 running backs. He kept Alexander Madison. The only position he does not have in his starting lineup is tight end and another flex, but he is kind of punting that position. And Jared just took Connor. Connor's an excellent pick. He's a guy I've been targeting in some drafts, and he listened to Nick and took Jahan Dotson. I was thinking about doing that on my next pick. So 2 really good picks there, I think, by Jared, and he could keep Jahan Dotson next year.
Yeah, so this starts to keep around. Dotson was definitely a guy I had my eye on here. There's 2 other guys I love at my spot, so I'm really.
Were you going to go Dotson? Because I was going to take him if you didn't.
There was one guy I had ranked above him that was still on the board.
Gotcha.
I'll wait till
I know who it is. Yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah.
I am aware.
There actually might be 2 on the board that I have ranked above. So the Ross pairs, Dalvin Cook with
Breece Hall.
Breece Hall. Very interesting. So
now, are you a fan of that, or you're not a fan of that?
I don't hate it. So I'm getting trade offers at the moment for my 6th round pick, which I am turning.
I wonder who's sending you that.
My
so
brother.
here in my other league,
but I don't want it.
Here in my other league, I really do need another running back, but I really like that there's a bunch of running backs on the board. So I think I'm going to wait one more, and I'm going to grab George Pickens. And this league actually drafted Jahan Dotson around early. I didn't say it because I didn't want you to know I was going for him a bit early. But so in this league right now, I have Justin Fields, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DK Metcalf, James Cook, Travis Kelce, Jahan Dotson, and George Pickens. So Pickens is unfortunately on my bench since it's a 1 flex. But since I believe in him so much, I did decide to throw him on my bench and kind of punt that second running back for the time being.
So there goes James Cook. If I did not have the running back position filled, I probably would have targeted him. But Palmer to me makes the absolute perfect pick for his team. Guy that has a ton of upside paired with Tony Pollard, went 0 running back, ton of volume in Deontay Johnson, who's going in the 4th and 3rd round in other platforms. Darren Waller, I thought was the right pick there. Palmer, again, another guy that I feel like is going to leave the draft feeling very confident in his team. And perfect. The guy that I wanted fell to me. Like I said, it is a keeper league, and there is one guy in keeper format that I am absolutely targeting. I took him in the 6th round in another league. It is Mike Evans. Listen, the dude's 29 years old. He's not going to get a contract. He has got 2 options. Stay with this team where Baker Mayfield has been accurate deep down the field and has been a 1,000-yard receiver every year of his career, and then get traded halfway through the season or leave the team and be a Kansas City Chief or New York Jet by the end of the year. So every upside for me with Mike Evans, wide receiver 4 on the team. I'm absolutely stoked that he fell to me there.
Yeah, it's a good pick. I was looking at him too.
And again, with the keeper format, I mean, if I get it, I'm going to take Mike Evans, who, if he is not on the Buccaneers, is a guy that team tends to play to win. I imagine he's a Chief. He's a a Bill or an Eagle or a 49er. Like he's going to go to a competitive team. So if next year you're keeping a guy in his 30s, to me is a no brainer.
Yep.
For the format.
All right, so there's a couple guys that I'm looking at right now, or at least know in my head that I want. I hate the 3 pick, and it's I hate to like complain about it, but it's just
Good pick, Joe.
I don't like where I'm picking because the guys that I want just aren't really lining up per se. That's just kind of how it goes. Got to make the best of it. So I do have my eye on 2 guys here, and we'll see which one I end up with. Who did you pick? Javonte Williams. Okay, so I was on Javonte Williams or David Montgomery, 2 guys I'm slightly high on during this running back dead zone. I'm going to take David Montgomery as my running back 2. I have him in another league. I love to follow the money. I know Jahmyr Gibbs is there, but I think David Montgomery is still going to get a bulk of those carries, especially on the goal line. So I do like. I feel confident enough taking him as my running back 2. So coming up next, I will select my flex, my last flex option. So my starting lineup will be filled out at that point.
I think I was looking at your team and I thought one of 2 players I would have went with, David Montgomery or Jackson Smith-Njigba for you. But I would have played the draft board and I probably would have taken Jackson Smith-Njigba and then let in the dominoes fall as they do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I think Monty probably could have made it back to you if Williams didn't go before you, but
yeah,
I
just need to take I needed to take a running back there where I really would have kind of been screwed there.
Say Flowers.
Oh right. No, that's what I wanted. That was my next pick.
That's a good pick by Dave. He's got 2 receivers that went in the first round of the draft. Or did Smith go in the second round? Whatever. 2 valuable wide receiver picks, rookies that have a ton of upside and, again, keeper format. Nick, you're up on the clock, and I'm looking. You already filled your tight end, so the next position off the board is the San Francisco 49ers defense. Will you be targeting the 49ers defense with this pick?
I will not.
Okay, well, if you don't go defense, you have your quarterback filled, so Justin Tucker would be the next guy on the board. Are you targeting Justin Tucker with your next pick?
I'm not. I'm good. I'm going to target another running back here because I don't really like the receivers. And unfortunately, this running back's going to play in my flex spot. I'm going to go with Khalil Herbert. He was very productive last year. He's a guy that I think a lot of people are kind of sleeping on because he's the starter over there. And he was very productive last year when he was the starter. So I know they have some other backs there, but until he loses that role, he's the starter. So he literally has to play bad for him to lose that role. And I just don't really see that kind of happening.
I like it.
All right. In my other league, I'm actually up to draft as well. And I don't really love a lot of the running backs on the board, but I will just draft my best available, which is Antonio Gibson. Because I needed a running back 2 in that league. A lot of other running backs went that I wanted, and that's okay.
That is a gross pick.
I don't think it's that gross. I think he's the better running back there.
I agree, but Sam Howell season, man. I actually took Sam Howell in another league.
Yeah, he might have a solid outing. We'll see.
I think he's gonna look good. He's looked good in preseason. Him and Kenny Pickett have been preseason champions. For a second-year quarterback, absolutely.
So I'm going to look at the board a little bit here. There's your running backs. Here's your receivers. Michael Thomas is the top guy on the board. Like I'm so out on all the receivers that I'm staring at right now. Like Michael Thomas, out on Cooks, out on Tony. Like I'm really out on basically every receiver that I'm seeing right now. And that's why I'm kind of happy that I grabbed the running back when I did. Now looking at the board, though, I wish I had gone Zay Flowers over Monty. I did not think he was going to get picked up. This is also why mock drafting is helpful, but also it's not the team you're going to get.
Sure. There goes Cortland Sutton.
That was Nick's guy last year.
Still my guy this year. Love him. With that Jerry Jeudy injury.
Jeudy is hurt. It's gonna hurt Danger Russ a lot.
For sure. Right. So here we now see that there's the tier breaking quarterbacks, and the guys that have not gone quarterbacks look to be passing right now. You do have Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, Tua. Pat Fryermuth was the guy I was targeting, went right before me, just to fill out the starting lineup and get the volume play. I'm looking at the
Dalton
board.
Schultz is staring at you.
Maldy's the only guy that has a need for tight end. I'm probably going to pass on the position, continue the punt, and let it fall down the dominoes as they lie. So I'm going to look for another flex play. The guy I do like in this range is Gabe Davis, but already having Diggs and Allen, I can't see myself playing all three of them any week.
Yeah, that would be tough.
So let's keep looking down the board. Not loving anybody here. I like some later round running backs, but I know the guy's drafting after me. So I am going to reach pretty far down the board for a guy I love this season. He's very far down. I'll wait. I don't want to go that far down because I think he could draft it after me. But
he must have gone really, really far down.
Yeah, he goes higher in other platforms, so maybe he'll sneak to me. 10 seconds left. I apologize for the late pick. I am gonna go. I will take the risk on Michael Thomas.
There you go. I think you had him last year too.
I don't love the pick, but listen, if I could get 3 good games out of him, I'll take him. I just don't love the other guys here, and
sure,
I don't want to reach, so I'll take one of the better guys available on the board.
And you have a pick coming back to you anyway.
Yeah, I have a running back I'm going to target on the way back. I might grab that guy that's further down the board.
So the draft is 15 rounds, around 7, so we're about halfway there.
Yep.
Michael Thomas just also went in my other league as well.
At the wide receiver 5, I mean, listen, he's either going to, if he plays the entire year and he's healthy, he could be a good talent for Derek Carr. Derek Carr has had no problem managing multiple receivers and pass catching options in the past. So does not worry me with Olave potential or most likely being the one there. Let's take a look at other Knicks team, the guy drafting right after me, because I think he's got an interesting strategy, and let's see how it panned out. So he's looking. He went 3 receivers early. Running backs: Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, Najee Harris. 3 guys that'll see a lot of volume, a lot of touchdowns this year. Went quarterback, went tight end. We know he's an Eagles guy, so Goddard being there, no surprise that he wanted him. And then wide receiver 1, Tyler Lockett, or Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett, Gabe Davis. Nick, how do you feel about his team and his strategy?
I don't like the receivers. The running backs are great, but I think the Najee pick could have been substituted for maybe a receiver. But I mean, I don't even love the receivers after him. So he's gonna have to count on those running backs to really make his points up, because Tyler Lockett was the wide receiver 1 in Seattle last year. He was wide receiver 17, had a really good year. But if anybody's going to eat into his carries, it'll be, or his reception work, it's going to be JSN. Lockett's on the last year of his contract. He's 30 years old, kind of playing for a new contract, I think. So if he does go out there and plays really well, I think Seattle re-signs him. But if JSN takes over his role by the end of the year, sure. I think that is going to bite Nick in the butt a little bit. And then Gabe Davis had a pretty underwhelming year last year after everybody was kind of high on him. So I think it's a little bit tough when those are your 2 guys behind Amari Cooper. I just wish he had one more big dog kind of in front of them that he could, kind of rely on a bit more.
Based off the way he built his team, I would guess that Michael Thomas probably would have been a good pick for him. Based off the form, just because if he hits and he plays the entire year, you're going to need him in that lineup.
And he's coming back around. I did say I was going to bump to a minute, so I am switching the time to a minute. Guys on the board are the guys on the board. And in my other league, I am up now, so let's see who I want to pick here. I'm going to reach up and take Zay Flowers. I didn't get him in my other league, so that's okay. So my bench in this other league now is Pickens, Charbonnet, and Zay Flowers. So I'm really liking the bench on the other league. So we are updated to a minute now. It's a minute per pick here on the Sleeper League in round 8.
So I'm looking at my team.
My headphones just died. Give me 1 second.
Okay. I'm looking at my team here, and I got 2 running backs. I know Nick, you can see the big board. You can't see the top of the players, but I'm looking at running back no matter what, because I got my 5 receivers. The other option is I go tight end, but looking after me, every single team has drafted a tight end. I don't think anybody's drafting a backup tight end, so I am happily going to wait. There's only one other team that hasn't had a tight end yet. Team 11 did keep a tight end, so you can't see him there. I am going to go with the most. I think I've drafted him in every single league this season. I am going with Tank Bigsby. Reaching a little bit further down the board, he's one of my guys this year. Travis Etienne looked very good last year, and I know he's Trevor Lawrence's guy, but for me, Tank Bigsby, a very talented running back, is probably not going to make it back to me. Nick probably is someone that might have targeted him with his running back layout. But the reports out of camp are he's faster, he's a better catcher, and he's a bigger running back than Travis Etienne. Jacksonville historically has cycled running backs no problem. You go Maurice Jones-Drew, left him a year early. James Robinson, Leonard Fournette. And now we're looking at Travis Etienne, who's missed his rookie year, played year 2, year 3. Could be a good year, and I do like the talent there. But if Tank Bigsby does overtake him in that role, I think there's a very high upside that he is a smash play for a very high-powered offense, to say the least. I did see Nick there, so you might hop in another minute. Looking at the top of the board, I know you guys cannot see it. Outside of the defenses and kickers, you're looking at Kadarius Toney, Brian Robinson, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, Rashad Penny, Elijah Moore, Samaje Perine, and we got Nick on the clock. Let's see if he can make it back by his pick. It does look like he is going to, just barely. Let's see. He's got an earbud. I can see him on the back end. I know you guys can't see him. I'm going to add him in. There you are, Nick. Let's see what he targets here. Rashee Rice. Bold pick. He's going back to the receiver position after taking 2 guys he'll probably start for the start of the year in Montgomery and Herbert. Interesting strategy by Nick here. Very focused. Let's see. All right, we are looking now at the 9th round. It is 60 seconds per draft pick, so hopefully this will go a little bit faster for you guys, and you can quickly see. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. I'll be happy to pull them up and answer them. In the meantime, Elijah Moore, guy I really wanted in a league this year. As a Jets fan, I'm disappointed with how he exited, but not, he was very talented and he deserved a much bigger role in an offense. And I get he didn't like Zach Wilson, and the Jets needed the draft capital to go bring in Aaron Rodgers, so it made sense for them to get rid of him. But very talented. Is going to be Deshaun Watson's wide receiver too. So very, 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 very big upside for a guy like that. No, you're muted. Just unmute.
All right, so I'm back. I have my earpods here. Pick. So I did pick Rashee Rice. It's a running back for a receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. I could keep him. There is some upside there, so I am giving him a shot. If you can't tell, I'm not super stoked about it, but I am giving him a shot. So I do not really like the board right now. There's just not a lot of people here that I love. So I'm going to go for upsides. It's a keeper league. Could go for some upside here. but I like to follow the money, and this guy has caught a lot of balls in his career. So we're going to go with Adam Thielen. Follow the money,
Blech,
Carolina. No, there has to be someone
gross.
to catch those balls. Somebody's going to
He's
catch those
the
balls over there.
he's the fourth most talented pass catcher on that offense, in my opinion.
I highly disagree with that. I mean, maybe talent-wise, he's not up there, but he is going to catch a ton of balls, at least at the beginning. So he's a guy that I think,
I
can.
saw a great post that said he is going to be great for 60 yards, 860 catches, 800 yards, and if you pace that out over the entire season, you're looking at 4 catches for like 45 yards across each game.
Well, that's not great. That is not great. I just did not like anybody on that board at all.
Yeah, the board, this is a very smart league. A lot of these top guys, a lot of these sleepers are going. A lot of the guys you probably mock out. I got 2 guys that I'm looking at in my next pick, either filling that tight end position. I do think that there's one guy left with very good upside, and there's only one guy left in our draft that needs a tight end this year. So could be picking him there, or I could wait for him to pick and take another one on the wraparound. If not, there is a running back that I do like that I'll pull the trigger on. And I will do it. It's the guy that I said I was reaching down the board to take. I've taken the pair of these guys. I've taken Tank Bigsby, who I took in the last pick while Nick was gone. Very early. I think he's got a ton of breakout upside. And the guy I really want to target that I think has massive upside in Jalen Warren. This is a duo.
It's a good pick. I was looking at that too. It's a good pick.
These are the 2 I've been targeting in just about every single draft this year. I think they have so much upside. And if either of them hit, they're instant, starters in my lineup. And in a year where running backs kind of go a little bit deeper, these are the guys I love late to replace. If you have a DeAndre Swift or Rashad White or Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, Miles Sanders, one of those guys that have so many question marks, I think these are guys that could easily overtake them if they hit. So I've been targeting them a lot this year.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick. I like it. Okay.
Actually, I drafted in my girlfriend's family league the other night, and I got a few explicit texts from somebody in the league after taking Bigsby. So
Is there a Jags fan in that league?
No. So someone my girlfriend's father and I both went 0 running back in the first 3 rounds of a 14-person league. So late in the draft, we were targeting the same exact players the entire way.
There you go. That makes sense. So my other league is going much quicker than this one. Is it 16 rounds though? No, we're in round 12. That's why.
What round is the other league in?
Well, in our league, we're in round 9, technically 10 because of the keepers. The other league, we're in round 12.
Okay.
We are eating up this clock a lot.
Listen, it's a good amount of money on the line. You got to think out your picks.
Yep, I get it. And there's your first defense off the board.
Palmer
grabs the 49ers defenses, probably just to make sure there's a solid defense on your roster the entire season. And again, the board is the board right now. I'm going to show you the running backs here. McKinnon, Elijah Mitchell. There goes Elijah Mitchell. It's a good handcuff. I was looking at that one. The board is the board right now. And these are the receivers: James Williams, Rashad Bateman, Tyler Boyd, Jacoby Myers. So again, you're looking at what you're looking at.
Yep.
That's basically what I'm saying. Kareem Hunt doesn't even have a team, and he's there. I have 4 picks until my defense and kicker will be on my team.
Nice. Yeah, me and Nick, we do not like taking defense and kicker early. I get it for the elite ones, not the kicker. The kicker, I don't care. There goes Tyler Higbee. Actually, the tight end that I was looking to take, not this upcoming round, but the one after that. If you're going to play the waiver game with the tight end position, he is the week 1 guy. If Cooper Kupp is not there, and it looks like he's not going to play week 1, Tyler Higbee is locked and loaded in your lineup and should be good for 8 to 10 catches. I don't know why Stafford loves those two receivers and pass catchers in particular, but he tends to love to throw the ball to those two, to say the least. Those are two of his favorite targets. And right after goes Rashad Bateman.
So Deshaun Wright, how do you feel about Sky Moore this year? I feel okay about him. I think he could take a jump, but I'm unsure. I think one of those Kansas City receivers is either going to take a major jump or none of them will, and it's just going to be kind of a free-for-all.
I look at it and I say last year, outside of after Tyreek Hill left, none of the receivers finished in the top 30. There was no one any single week you could trust and lock in your lineup. For his ADP, it's absolutely worth taking the swing. They spent the first-round draft capital. They're not going to give up on him that quickly. For me, I prefer Kadarius Toney just off of talent. There goes Palmer taking Justin Tucker just to fill out that starting lineup. I don't blame him. Listen, if your strategy is you don't like anybody on the board, go fill the top two guys that you're going to start. Go win your week.
Why not?
I am going to wait one more round on the tight end position. I'm looking at the flex. And I'm going to go with a guy I have not taken at all this year, but is going to have a role early. I'm going to go with Raheem Mostert. He's the guy, Nick, that I was thinking I would target if I were your team early in the draft, because you're going to need that running back for the first couple of weeks as you wait for JT to get healthy. And it sounds like Jeff Wilson's going to be out for a significant time. They have not made the move for a running back. And if they're still targeting Jonathan Taylor is on the pup. He's out the first 4 games guaranteed. So I took Tank Bigsby. I took Jaylen Warren, 2 guys that I think can break out later in the year. Raheem Mostert, a guy that if he is healthy and playing in the beginning of the year, should be locked and loaded into your fantasy lineup. He's a guy I could see myself flexing earlier in the season rather than later, especially if a guy like Mike Evans is going to miss a week with the hamstring injury that he has.
For sure. I think I would have liked to switch my Thielen for Jalen Hyatt pick. I probably drafted that one a little bit too quick as I was managing. I don't like drafting 2 leagues at the same time. This was a little bit absurd. I should have pushed this draft back a half hour. But that's okay. It is what it is. Joe wrote "what the" because on Sleeper when he dropped the kicker, at least early, I'll go "what the" little voice animation.
Yep, because kickers belong in the last round.
I think Joe's gonna take
Justin Tucker, maybe not. Evan McPherson, maybe not. The rest of them, probably.
I think Joe's gonna take a kicker right here. Jamison Williams, who's out the first, I think, 6 weeks with a suspension.
He is. That was the other guy I was looking at with my pick, but my logic was if he's healthy, I don't see any starting him above Evans, Williams, Ayuk, or Stephon Diggs. So
there goes Gino. Did not write back. So I'm looking for maybe some upside here. I honestly don't know who I want to pick. I am looking down the board a little bit.
So we're looking at flex plays.
I think I'm gonna double down on Carolina, as crazy that sounds. Possible keeper here, rookie wide receiver. We're gonna double down.
I like it.
45 seconds here. We can go 45 seconds and run.
I still don't think you took the best pass catcher from the offense, but that's okay.
Who would that be?
I would say DJ Chark.
Ugh.
Gross. But he did deal with an injury, so it's possible he's going to miss some time. But the reports were that he should be back early.
I am not a DJ Chark guy by any means.
You love DJ Chark. I actually like this.
I did finish him on my dynasty team last year. He did finish on my dynasty team.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Nice.
I do have to select a defense in my other league. So I am going to go to ESPN and look at the week 1 schedule and decide what defense I want to stream from week 1.
Right. I think we are going to draft the draft time one more time now that it's reached the 11th round. At least that's what I saw in the text. Jane.
Where's the Commanders defense? That one gone already? Yeah, it is. Of course it is.
Commanders has been going early depending on the platform. You're on Yahoo for your other league, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they play the Cardinals week
Oh,
one.
the Ravens. They play the Texans week 1. Give me the Ravens defense.
I like that pick. I mean, Ravens I've targeted in every league that I can. Ravens, Saints, Commanders are the 3 that I like for week 1. It's Texans, it's Titans, it's Cardinals. Marvin Mims, the guy I was targeting at the end of this round. Marvin Mims Jr. Makes sense for the team that drafted Jerry Jeudy just so that he could keep his name the same, but and the resident Broncos fan, I'm sure he'll end up with Broncos defense and a kicker that belongs to them.
So I'm taking Rashawn Johnson, running back to the Bears. He's a rookie. He's back up Khalil Herbert. So now I kind of have the little handcuff there. And I guess now having Justin Fields on my other team, I have the entire Bears backfield. But needed another running back. Only had 3 of them, and it's a keeper option. So I like having a couple of these rookies here for keeper options: Rashee Rice, Jonathan Mingo, and Rashawn Johnson. So not sure how any of them pan out, but I do like having rookies as my keeper options.
I agree with that. In our league, when you get to keep a guy and it replaces your pick and you need someone that can break out, all you need is one, and then you're going to pick up the rest. Like the guys that get drafted really after the 11th round are most likely guys you're going to drop in your league, like by the end of the year, unless 1 or 2 of them hit, and then you're playing waiver wire guys. So, I think you're right. You got to take running. You take a rookie, and if they don't pan out, they don't pan out. I am on deck.
Okay, so what are we looking at here, Nick? What are you looking to target? Do you know yet?
Yes, I do. I know who I will be going with. I will wait for the pick before me. I will be taking the best defense in the NFL. I will be taking the New York Jets, the next Legion of Boom, as quoted by the cornerback 2.
He said that?
The 85 Bears.
No. Now I got to go off on this because I didn't even hear this quote. So now I'm going to go off on it.
Mr. DJ Reed, ranked as a top 5 cornerback according to PFF, right behind his boy Sauce Gardner. Said the next Legion of Boom is coming. The next 85 Bears defense, best front 7 in the league. I do think the Jets have an elite defense, and I do think they're going to be great this year. I'm going to absolutely stash them. I will avoid playing the Bills this week, but I will absolutely smash the Jets until week 3 against the Patriots.
I also do think that they have an awesome defense, and will have they will have a top defense. Not Legion of Boom though, so let's cool the Gatorade there. I'm gonna say the kicker I want in my other league. My last pick. I mean, I think the Titans might kick a lot of field goals. I'm going to take the 49ers kicker, Jake Moody. I feel like they're just going to kick a lot. Maybe let's go Chris Boswell. I feel like the Steelers are a good field goal team.
That's a good one. They're probably a team that's going to get down the field and struggle in between the 20.
So I'm going to read off
my struggle in the red zone. That's what they did last year. So
I'm going to read off my roster here. In that second league, I did pick.
You want to share it real quick? You can share the screen.
I can. You're right, actually. Yeah.
We'll knock this off for a second, and we'll recap Nick's other draft. I'll let you know when I'm on the clock, so you can flip it back.
Let's see why it's not showing me. I might need to go back into it.
Just pull up your actual team then.
Oh, I know exactly what happened here. I'm just going to take that off. I know what happened.
So Maldi goes Kenny Gainwell, a guy that a report out of Eagles camp is that he might be the RB1 come week 1.
Interesting.
Which could be a interesting sneaky play for your fantasy team.
All right, so now you see my team over here. The draft's about to end. So Justin Fields is my quarterback. I did back him up with Kyler Murray, who I do like taking late in drafts. I know he's going to miss a couple games, but he has such a good rushing upside, still a focal point in that offense. So if you're going quarterback early and just want to back up, I think Kyler Murray is an excellent option. My receivers are stacked. I love them. Amon-Ra St. Brown, just a machine. DK Metcalf's going to have a really good year. Jahan Dotson, I'm really excited to get him in one of my leagues. George Pickens, I now have him in 3 of my leagues. Zay Flowers, I got him in one of my leagues. I'm excited about that. I think I got him in my 2nd league now. Took Jonathan Mingo here as well. So those are my receivers. That's my running backs. They're not flashy, but they hopefully will get the job done with all the other talent I have around. So James Cook, running back 1 for Buffalo. Antonio Gibson, running back 1 for the Commanders. Hopefully get some passing work as well. Zach Charbonnet, I hope he starts vulturing Kenneth Walker. I have him in a couple leagues. And then I took Tajay Spears for Tennessee, who I think, could step into that starting role if Derrick Henry gets hurt. Tight ends, I took Travis Kelce and only Travis Kelce. Defense is the Baltimore Ravens, and Chris Boswell is my kicker.
I like the team. I think you're a little thin at running back, but you made the right picks, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
going to be star power. Nick was the one that kind of got me out of this mold, and I'll talk about it for a second. I always drafted running back early and said, that's the stereotypical thing. Nick was the one 2 years ago saying just draft the guy that's going to score you the most points. And it has changed my outlook on fantasy for sure. Like, his whole point was, why would you draft a running back that you're going to play to hopefully get you 10 to 12 points a game when you could draft a receiver that you confidently think can get you 16 to 20? Like, it's a very valid fantasy point, and something that we should really hammer home more. And I think this year has definitely gone with the wide receivers being a lot more valuable early on in drafts.
So Joe just took Tank Dell, who was going to be my next pick. All over him. He's on my dynasty league, one of my late round sleepers that I really like. So not really thrilled about that pick by Joe. And now I gotta scramble before my pick to look at some other options here, and they're kind of yucky. They really are. There's really not a lot that I like here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go back to my running backs. Love taking backups. So let's go with Tajay Spears, who I just took in my other leagues. We're going to go with another running back backup. Joe really just threw me for a loop. I really did want Tank Dell there. Good option.
Tank's a good player. And I like Nico Collins as well, who went a little bit earlier, but they did use the higher draft capital on Tank Dell. Nico Collins was drafted a year ago, obviously. I did go with Dalton Schultz. We did miss my pick. I did need to fill that tight end position, and Schultz I was looking at 3 rounds earlier, and said hopefully he could fall another round. And then I got to my Jets pick, and I said, all right, maybe you can make it one more pick around. But they paid him $10 million for 1 year. Listen, they had a rookie quarterback. Rookie quarterbacks like the tight end position. So they paid him to come in, and he's the highest earning pass catcher on the offense at the moment. So my hope is you paid him $10 million. You passed him like he was worth the most money on your team.
Now I need to start looking for my my final pick, basically my final pick, before I my final pick basically. And there goes a kicker.
Another kicker.
All right. I'm gonna take a quarterback, and Aaron Rodgers is right there. He's still Aaron frickin' Rodgers, so I'm gonna take Aaron Rodgers on my team. Why not?
He's fallen. Listen, it's the right pick. I like it.
Yeah, I'm gonna bump it to 30 now. He's right. At this point, like, you know what you're drafting, so let's bump it.
I would go to 45. I wouldn't go 30.
We can't go to 45.
You can't. Okay. All right. 30 seconds for your pick. You gotta hurry it up now.
All right, putting it on. I mean, you're drafting defense kickers or like a backup here, so you should kind of.
Yeah, you should have your guys queued up, unless if you're Nick hosting this. So, 30 seconds, make your pick, make it quick. Very simple.
Joe would have a really good dynasty team, I gotta say. They're all young. Joe probably is the youngest. My brother, he probably is the youngest team in the league. I mean, Bijan Robinson, Garrett Wilson, DK still 25, Rashad White, Jordan Addison. Like, he's got to have a really young team.
I like it. I'm a fan. All right, I'm on the clock. I'm looking at kicker or defense. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to play the Jets to week 3, and the Ravens are there, so I will play them against the Texans for week 1. There goes Kareem Hunt, next guy that was on my board.
He'll get signed by somebody.
Yeah, he has 4 contract offers pending this month so far. So the rumors are that it is the Vikings, the Colts, the Saints, and we don't know the 4th one. But listen, he gets to any of those teams, he's going to have good usage. 7 seconds. It looks like it's going to be an auto pick because he's not in the draft room at the moment.
Yeah, that's an auto pick.
And he goes Kirko Chains.
And he needed a backup anyway. So.
Yeah, not bad. Maldi goes Singletary. Good pick.
He should go. Rex Burkhead.
That's another running back from the Texans.
Yeah, he should take Rex Burkhead. Oh, he's on room for Rex Burkhead.
I will.
Jared, if you want to take your Singletary pick back, I'll put Rex Burkhead in.
Yeah, I'm good with that. You could do that. I actually took him and played him last year in the playoffs against Maldi, helping him go to the championship. Donovan Peoples-Jones, Younghoe Koo, Palmer's on the board. I'm in between 2 players, so I'm hoping one of them gets drafted so I don't have to make this pick. But it is what it is.
I gotta tell you, Nick. I think I stunk it up. I'm not happy with my draft at all. I think I reached on a couple guys. Just think there's 3 spots. Just didn't.
We can break down everybody's team if you want right after. Do a minute on each team. We could go through it.
We could do it now. I mean, we're getting defenses and kickers. It's not going to be a pick that's going to sway my opinion on anybody right now.
You're right.
Why don't we start with Dave? So, again,
hold on, I'm on the clock here.
Okay,
just real quick. I am going with Kendre Miller.
Sure.
Looking for running back breakouts. Rumor is he's really good and was a first-round talent that fell a little bit because of injury.
So Dave kept Calvin Ridley, so we already had a solid receiver. Again, other receivers are Jefferson and Smith-Njigba, Zay Flowers. Smith-Njigba is also keeper eligible, so I think he did really good from a keeper standpoint, having those 2 guys available. The running backs are just 3 guys I just don't like. They're all on my avoid list. They really are. I mean, I like targeting Andrews here and pairing him with Lamar, but
you're on the clock, by the way.
The fact that all 3 of his running backs are on the avoid list does scare me a bit.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you. I think for his team, if I was him, I would have targeted some of these later running backs. I think I think Raheem Mostert was a must draft for his team because he's going to need a starter early on. And Cam Akers and Miles Sanders.
Pick on Deion Jackson. I wanted to cut you off for a second there. I probably should have done that, but
yeah, I agree with that. Good starter for week 1 for him if Zach Moss is not back.
Porter's a good pick too. That's a good keeper option as well. I didn't realize he was still on the board.
But yeah, I mean, look, you're looking at 2 running backs that should be fine, but have massive injury history.
All right, so we got your brother Andreas. His keeper was Christian Kirk, who I do like, but maybe the weakest keeper here. I mean, you're looking at the other really solid keepers. It's probably the weakest one by default. He did trade me Chris Olave last season. That could have been his keeper. So pairs up Jamar Chase, I think could be the fantasy MVP this year. I did want him. I kind of didn't think I was going to get him, so that sucks for me. And then he took a big dip on receiver. He waited, obviously had Christian Kirk, but waited to get Jerry Jeudy, who's dealing with the hamstring, who I really did love before the hamstring, but now worries me a bit. And these 3 receivers, I'm not sure hit his starting lineup at some point. But very running back heavy. ETN, Dobbins, Kamara, Jamal Williams, and Zeke. Also drafted Joe Burrow. So I love the Burrow pairing with Chase. I don't love all these running backs here. I like Kamara here, but Dobbins is kind of on my do not draft list. And ETN, I think, is going a little bit too high, especially with Tank Bigsby right behind it. So kind of like Dave, the running backs is where I kind of falter. And I'm not sure who. I mean, Judy's not going to be starting week 1. So you're looking at his starting receivers being Chase and maybe Jacoby Myers. I'm sorry, Christian Kirk. So, yeah, I wish he went a little bit more receiver heavy since I am more I do go to my running backs.
I did text him and told him I think he has the worst draft in the league. That's just more so to talk poorly to my brother. I got to trash talk a little bit, but listen, I think he's got some guys at the top that are big question marks. He's got a lot of guys that they're either going to hit big or miss big. So I know ETN's been one of his guys. I know he likes Dobbins. He's always like Kamara on his team.
And go and take your guys, because I could be totally
Yeah,
wrong about all of them. So go and take
totally
the guys
agree.
that you like.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now we got
moving
you.
on. Moving on to me, I don't like it. I mean, I love my keeper in Olave, so I knew I'd have a wide receiver 1, 2 on my team already. I felt boxed into Kelsey. I just did not want to go McCaffrey. I wish I had a later pick. I wish I had 6 to whatever, but it is what it is. I took the guy that I thought would be the best fit for my team. Don't have to worry about tight end after that. My running backs are shaky at best, but if they pan out, they pan out. That's just kind of how it is. I think my team is going to be defied by these 2 picks right here. If Jonathan Taylor comes back week 4 and is a beast, I got to steal. Or if he gets traded, I got to steal. If George Pickens becomes the wide receiver they think he can become, I got to steal. But if those 2 flunk, I'm picking right in the top 3 again next year, and that's just how I kind of view my team. I did wish I had switched Thielen for Hyatt, but the other picks I'm not as upset about.
I think listen, every week you're gonna have the positional advantage. So Kelsey and Hurts should be better than the opposing tight end and quarterback every week. And definitely the combo, you have the best combo out of every team. So I do think you're gonna have a very safe floor on your team. I just think that the upside's not going to be there with your running backs. You're looking at a couple split backfields. Jonathan Taylor, we don't know what's going to happen with. I think you drafted a very safe team versus the league winning team. But if Jonathan Taylor comes back and hits, you got all the upside in the world. You're looking at a guy that could have gone in the back half of the first round, early second, if we didn't have these issues.
Yep. I think I'm a middle of the pack team, and we'll see if these guys boom. I think I'm upper part. If they bust, I'm a lower part. I think right now I'm middle of the pack. On to Adam. So Adam, he kept Isaiah Pacheco. I'm sorry, that's probably now looking at it, I think I may have rather had Christian Kirk. But his first, I really like the first 4 picks here. Tyreek Hill's a slam dunk. I would have taken Jacobs. I think I may have given DK a slight edge over Higgins just because he's a wide receiver 1.
I agree.
But I'm a T. Higgins guy. I am big on Higgins, so I like the pick. I think here I may have gone Jonathan Taylor if I was him, because he already has Jacobs and already has Pacheco. So you could wait on Jonathan Taylor. And I do like Pierce. If he took Taylor, I was prepared to take Pierce, but I think in his situation, Taylor really fit his team.
I agree. I agree with
I'm
that.
not a Christian Watson guy. I've been saying it all offseason. I'm probably going to be wrong about this one, so I'll state that, but I'm not a Christian Watson guy. I'm okay with Javonte here. I am in on Njoku. I've said that before. I think Adam's got a solid team. I think I think he's upper to middle of the pack right there. I'm not saying it's the best team, but I think he's on the upper side of things. I like his team. I think he's got his biggest floor, actually, I didn't even mention his quarterback. He only took 1 quarterback, and it was Geno Smith. Now that I think about it, he probably should have taken Rodgers.
Yes.
Maybe he doesn't like Rodgers, but
he's a Jets guy. He's a Rodgers guy.
I think he needed somebody to balance out Geno Smith. And I do like Geno, and I think he's getting a lot of crap, and people think he's going to regress. And I kind of think he regresses too, but his team only got better. So he's putting a lot of faith in Geno Smith there. And I think that could really sink or swim his team. But I do like the position players that he has.
I agree with you for the most part. I think he got put in a weird spot where, he has you look at the second round, he takes Josh Jacobs, which is the right pick. It's the biggest, it's Jacobs. And then there's a massive tier drop off everywhere else at every other position.
Yep.
At the other flex positions. And then the next 3 quarterbacks go. And if I had to guess, he was probably targeting a Lamar, hoping Hurts got back to him, maybe Burrow, in that 3rd round rather than Higgins. Maybe a Keenan Allen, but I do think he had to take the next tier of wide receiver. I agree. I would have went DK instead. And then, he kind of went on a spiral after that because the next 3 elite quarterbacks went, in my view, and had to go quarterback late. I think he's got a very low ceiling team, but safe floor again. I think Tyreek, Jacobs, Higgins kind of carry you out. But he's going to need one of these late guys to hit, I think, in order to compete in the championship.
So we're on to my brother Joe, who took over a team this year. Keepers Garrett Wilson, A plus. He took Bijan Robinson here, and as much as I do like Bijan, maybe a little bit more than McCaffrey, it was a ballsy pick, and he went for it. I think I would have taken Eckler here, since I'm a little bit out on McCaffrey. I think I would have gone Eckler or Bijan, but I don't hate it. Mahomes around 2 is a tough one. I mean, he's already got his running back and his receiver. I know I obviously went Hurts, so I kind of did a similar thing, and probably I would not have gone Hurts if he took a skill position here. I just wouldn't have taken quarterback early. I wanted to get ahead of it. Took DK. I like that a lot. Kittle, I'm so out on Kittle. This is by far his worst of the draft. Injury concerns now with the groin. So many mouths to feed. This by far to me, like if anything's going to sink him, that's pretty bad. And Kadarius Toney is just pretty bad too. Because I really like these first three paired with Garrett Wilson. I like, Rashad White as running back too. We got Addison at 6. We could keep Addison like that. I like the slot in for Sutton. A lot of upside here as well. But this pick right here just shouts out to me. So I put him right where I kind of put Adam, middle of the pack to upper pack, and not blaring my eyes out, but a team that's going to compete, I think.
I agree with you for the most part. I think if I were him, I do like taking Patrick Mahomes early, but I do think I would have locked up Josh Jacobs. You already took Bijan, who I think is a very safe pick, ton of upside. I think you pair him with Josh Jacobs and you take over and have the best running back duo in fantasy. You're only competing with one other guy for that in other Nick.
And you could have grabbed quarterback on in round 3 and then taken a receiver in 4 and bumped down Kittle.
Yeah, then you reach a little on Fields or Herbert. I agree with you there. Kittle, me and you have both openly said we don't like him this year. I do think Addison, Sutton, you're looking at, I think the end of his draft, he drafted a lot better. I think he drafted a lot more stability later on in the draft, which should help him. I think he's going to be one of those fringe playoff teams. I think he's out of the 5 teams so far, I think him and Dave probably have the 2 that could go for the championship if out of all of them, to say the least.
So Joey D, a slam dunk of a pick with McCaffrey. Even if I'm not 100% in on him and I passed on him, a slam dunk of the pick at 6. Awesome. Jahmyr Gibbs here, got to believe in the rookie. I would have taken Jacobs over him. I don't believe in Gibbs over the talent of Josh Jacobs, but he believes in him, and that's okay. DJ Moore, looking at the receivers after him, I don't hate it as much. I might not be a DJ Moore guy, but here's your wide receiver 1 that could end up being that, Stephon Diggs jump over. I'm not saying he does that, but you see what happened when he went with Josh Allen. So there's a lot of talent with DJ Moore. He always has 1,000 yards each year, usually like 4 touchdowns. Aaron Jones here isn't a bad pick either. I think considering he had these 2 backs, I think I would have gone Taylor, though. I think he's more talented. I think he's could be a better back. I think I would have gone Taylor there. Chris Godwin, I love this year. I love him. I think Mike Evans gets traded. I think Godwin's going to gobble up targets, so I like him. Kyle Pitts is still super talented, so I'm okay with that. I'm skipping over Cooks, so I don't love him. But Charbonnet, I think, is a slam dunk pick here as well in the 8th round. I think Joey's got another good team. Joey's always very, very, very competitive. I think the Gibbs pick is the one that I really wish was switched with Jacobs. But I see these 3 right here. It's just kind of whoever gets injured. But I think these 3 teams, to me, are kind of equal playing field.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think probably in the playoffs if CMC stays healthy, misses if he doesn't. I think he didn't. He took a lot of guys that should have a lot of volume.
I also should have mentioned his keepers, DeAndre Hopkins as well.
He got a lot of guys that are going to have a lot of volume. So you're looking at Gibbs, or maybe not Gibbs, but CMC, DJ Moore, Aaron Jones, Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks, and DeAndre Hopkins, all guys that have that should have a good amount of workload this year. But none of them really feel like they're the breakout, superstar pick. I don't think he drafted what I feel like is a league winner.
I think Gibbs might be the only one that has that upside.
Yeah, I agree with that. So if Gibbs hits, but even if Gibbs hit, he took him in the 2nd round. You need him in the 3rd to be the league winner. So good draft, probably playoff bound, but I don't think he goes as deep if he doesn't hit on the waiver.
On to Pat. He's a Giants fan. He took Saquon. Saquon's immensely talented, but a guy I just kind of fade every year. Cooper Kupp. I'm going to go position by position, actually. So Barkley, Walker, Swift. I'm all out on Walker, so that gets an X for me. Swift is okay, but I think I would have had. I don't like the pick here because I would have rather this guy, this guy. I'm trying to figure where the snake goes. 1, 2. Oh, he couldn't have picked them, so the snake goes this way. In that case, would have rather had James Conner or James Cook over DeAndre Swift. Brian Robinson's an okay pick. I don't love the running back group there. Receivers, I don't love this group even more. Cooper Kupp's a stud when he's on the field, but has the hammy injury. Marquise Brown, I think, is getting underdrafted, so I think that's okay. But then Odell is your wide receiver 3.
He has
I'm sorry, he has Devontae Swift. You're right. So now I don't hate that as much. I think I like Pat's team less than these other 3. But I mean, I think it all falls on Cooper Kupp. If Cooper Kupp's on, it falls on these 2 actually. If Cooper Kupp and Saquon are on the field and healthy and they produce, they're going to be excellent. But if the injury is concerned, I think he's going to get sunk.
So the one thing I would say is, like, I don't love Barkley in the first round, and I did think he reached on him big. If he went Eckler and then got Kupp, you're looking at like a potential league winning team, because if Kupp stays healthy, then you're great. Eckler should be great. But for me, I think he really missed on some clear better picks later on in the draft. I think he took Kenneth Walker when he could have went for Damian Pierce or Aaron Jones. I think that's the better pick for his team. DeAndre Swift, I'm not a fan of this year. I would have went James Conner. Hollywood Brown, I love. I think it's a good value. So, I mean, I think he missed on a couple big picks, and I think he reached way too far in Odell this year. For me, like, I think there's 3 guys before Dave, Joe, and other Joe. And then I think Pat falls in that following tier for me.
Alrighty, so for Nick over there, you kept Alexander Madison. I love the keeper. So running backs, you went Madison, Mixon, Tank, Warren, and Mostert. I love the Warren pick a lot. I'm iffy on Tank, but I don't hate it at that point. Mixon, I think if you believe in him, you take him. I would have probably wanted Najee Harris over him, but I'm okay with it. So running backs, probably giving about a B or something like that. Love the receiver heavy. Stephon Diggs. I'm not a huge believer in Ayuk, but I understand the talent, so I'm okay with that. Love the Mike Evans pick here. I don't love the Mike Williams pick, just gets hurt, and I think that Quentin Johnson's ready to step into a role there. But looking at the receivers after him, I think you should have gone with your guy, Jahan Dotson. That's my biggest X on you there, because you were so high on him, and I think you should have taken him. I think I would have rather taken Jahan Dotson over Mike Williams. That's where I think he's better wide receiver 2. I think he could be the wide receiver 1 by the end of the year, and I don't see wide receiver 1 upside for Mike Williams. So that's my biggest knock on you, is that you were all in on a guy and you did not reach for him.
For me, I felt
maybe you believe in Mike Williams a bit more, and that's okay. But you love Jahan Dotson last time we spoke.
For me, I was playing the ADP game there, and I was hoping Dotson. I felt like Mike Evans was more likely to get drafted than Dotson.
Okay, that's fair.
So I figured, let me take Mike Williams, and Dotson will be the one that falls. But then Evans actually fell. So
yep.
But yeah, I see your point there.
I also, my other thing is I don't love the Josh Allen pick, and here's why. I don't think the quarterback jump happens. I think you could end up with Justin Fields or Herbert, 2 guys you like right here. And I think here you could have gone a Jacobs, a Kupp. That's my big knock. I do understand the 6-point touchdowns. I understand it. But I personally have Allen ranked as my quarterback 3, maybe even 4. If you took Hurts there, I think I would be a little bit more okay with it, because he's my number 1 for the year. I don't think Allen gets as many yards and passing touchdowns as Mahomes. So that's my biggest knock, is that I don't think you took a quarterback that, in my opinion, will finish the quarterback 1. That's just my opinion. He easily could, super duper talented. But right now, I wouldn't bet money on him finishing quarterback 1.
That's fine. I usually have Mahomes ranked as the 1 and then Allen as the 2. And I have the 2 very close. The only reason I lent to Allen was because I had Diggs.
You just want the stack. I understand that.
Yeah, I really just wanted that upside of, listen, if Stephon Diggs catches a 20-yard touchdown from Allen, that's 12 points for the touchdown, 1 for the catch, 2 for the yards, and then Allen gets like 0.5 for that many passing yards. Yep. So you're looking at a 16.5 point play. And for me, I think Diggs is catching 10 touchdowns this year. So
yep, sure. Team most hated, my boy Nick. Kept Amari Cooper, solid keeper. Gonna have a lot of yards with Sean Watson. Went super running back heavy, super duper running back heavy. I don't hate it because the picks after this, I don't love the receivers. So I'm okay with taking a running back that you really like there. So running back heavy, it's gonna rely on those running backs. That's the reality of it. I spoke about his receivers during the draft, so I'm not gonna recap it as well. I put him in the same tier as I kind of put. I think a lot of these teams are really even. I think I'm okay, I guess. But Adam, Joe, Joey D, you, and Nick, I think it's just who stays healthy and who has a breakout guy on the roster. I think that's just how it's going to come down to. I don't see anybody really jumping out to me.
I think I see a couple too many big red flags for his team. His first bench player, when you put in the best drafted guys, is going to be Juju Smith-Schuster. And for me, that does not fly. I think he should have taken someone else further down the board and just reached for a guy. I think Juju, I don't like that pick. Then you look at Alan Lazard. I'm a Jets fan. I think they're going to go out and get another wide receiver by the trade deadline. Devontae Adams and Mike Evans tend to be on their radar. So I don't love the pick of Alan Lazard there. Then he went defense, kicker, and then Damian Harris is your third bench guy. Like, I think Kareem Hunt needs to get signed for him to really have a playable flex play. Having said that, for your starting lineup, you're going to be good. You just better hit on those freaking waivers because I think there's no depth on the team that's going to be guaranteed.
And that's okay. For Palmer, who always has a very excellent team. Tony Pollard might be the best keeper here. If not, he's in the top 2 or 3. Went with James Cook, who I'm very high on, so good pick there. Other running backs are not much to write home about, but that's okay. Receivers, CD and Waddle are very, very solid. Like those picks there. I don't love Debo and Deontay Johnson. And I think one Steelers receiver will have a bounce back year or a better year. I went for George Pickens. He went for Deontay Johnson after me. We'll see how that shakes out. I traded for Debo on my dynasty team, and I'm upset about that trade. Don't love it. Darren Waller, I really like. And quarterback went for the Sean Watson and Jordan Love. And this might be my least favorite pick. And maybe there wasn't another guy better available, but that's a rough one. I don't know. I can't tell where the snake was. I think you should have drafted a quarterback early, a little earlier, because if the Sean Watson doesn't hit, he's going to have a big hole in his lineup. So sure. I don't think it's the best team he's drafted, and that's more of a compliment to him because he does usually draft well. I don't love his draft like I normally do. And I could be wrong. All these guys could really hit, but I don't love it as much as I normally do. And maybe that should scare me because if I'm out on the guys that he has, maybe they're just going to explode.
The only fear, I think as individual players, I think he drafted very good players where he drafted them. But as a collective team, I don't love the draft. Pollard was the keeper. You take CeeDee Lamb number 1. I totally disagree. I think you take A.J. Brown if you were set on going receiver early, and Palmer has always been a receiver early guy.
I do too, and I love A.J. Brown.
And now you're talking of a very high upside. The fact of the matter is CD and Tony Pollard cannot get a touchdown on the same drive. You're not going to get super ceiling, which you need to win a fantasy championship. And then you look at other guys on the board, like Waddle, very good player. But with a low ceiling, you need high upside. Like Waddle hits there. Deebo Samuel could not be the wide receiver 1 on his team by the end of the season. He could be the third pass catching option. You do not need that. You need the upside now that you drafted 2 guys on the same team that'll have a high floor. So and Deontay Johnson, a lot of workload, not a lot of touchdowns, right? He drafted a lot of high volume players with not a lot of upside outside of Waddle. So for that, I don't love it, but the individual players I do like. So I think you're looking at a definite playoff roster, but not a champion.
So we got Mike here. TJ Hawkinson, my tight end 2 of the year. Love it. Nick Chubb, don't love it as much. I would have gone any of these 3 above him. Just doesn't get enough pass catching work here. I would have had his 2 picks as a slam dunk if he went like AJ Brown, Amon-Ra, or Devontae Adams, then went Derrick Henry. I think that's how I would have done it. Terry McLaurin dealing with injury issues, and he may not be the wide receiver 1. I actually really like Breece Hall around 4. I'm okay with that. Package with Dalvin Cook. so that's okay. The Pittman pick is okay. I like Quentin Johnson and Jalen Hyatt, good keeper options. And I like what he did at quarterback. He punted kind of and got 2 solid options to play on the week. But the front half of it does worry me a little bit, and they're not the guys that I would have picked.
For me, I think he had one of the best late draft, like back half of the drafts.
Yep. And Elijah Mitchell's a good handcuff as well.
Yeah, I think he took a lot of guys that have a lot of upside, a lot of keeper upside. And the board looked very weak. I'm looking at, like, if you look at the wraparound, like, he did not have the best of talent. I think he did take the best player available. For me. But again, I agree with Nick. I think the top half of the draft, there's a couple question marks that I don't love. Nick knows I'm not as high on Breece Hall this year. Even as a Jets fan, I think you're not going to get a solidified starter till maybe week 8. And that might be too little too late. But overall, very good team. Another guy that feels playoff bound, but doesn't feel like a champion to me.
And we have Jared. And I'll just say this off the top. I think he won the draft. I think the champ won the draft here. I love it. Kept Ramondre Stevenson. Does worry me a little bit with Zeke, but that's okay. First 2 picks are slam diddly damn dunks. Just I love them. These are 2 players I wanted in every league if I could get them. You just got them. I was saying live in the draft, probably wanted to go quarterback, and he did. Package James Conner with Ramondre Stevenson. I like it a lot. Antonio Gibson. I think this back half could have used more work. I mean, maybe the rookies didn't fall for him, but I think on that back half, he could have maybe reached at this point. Like, I think once you get Jahan Dotson here, I think all these picks probably could have been reaches. You know, guys like Charbonnet and Bigsby and just maybe rookies had more upside.
Sure.
I know Gibson's floor. Sky Moore, maybe a little bit. Bateman, I don't love. Kenneth Gainwell, I don't really love. Like, a lot of these guys I don't love. But the front half of the draft, I mean, awesome. My one red flag is Drake London. He loves Drake London. That's okay. Go get your guys. I like the team a lot. I think he's going to be right back in that playoff championship contention this season.
I agree. And I know I have a little bias for my own team, but I do think that Jared had the number 1. I feel like I had the number 2. I think Jared hit very early on. Those top 3 picks, I think, were perfect. I don't think he could have asked for a better fall for AJ Brown to be there in the end of the first round. Justin Herbert, I've talked about him on the podcast. I think he's MVP caliber player. And with Kellen Moore, could easily get 50 touchdowns. Me and Nick hate Drake London this year. I think if you switched a Drake London for I love Brandon Ayuk, maybe go Brandon Ayuk, or you fill your running back need and get your Breece Hall. Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. I mean,
like, you're really chasing a ton of upside on this team. But overall, I mean, listen, you got if you love Drake London, you got Amon-Ra, AJ Brown, London, and then Dotson in your lineup. Like, you have a phenomenal receiving core, and Ramondre and Connor are going to have the workload and the guaranteed touches to perform for you. So for me, I feel like he did win the draft off the board.
All right. So that is our draft special. Went almost 2 hours, but that's okay. We do this once a year, and it's a lot of fun. So thank you for guys that join and listen, whether it's live to the draft, whatever. We appreciate that. We will have normal episodes resuming next week. Again, you can find us on all audio streaming platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Anchor. If you're on iTunes or Spotify, please give us a 5-star rating and a review. If you want to watch and listen to the show, go to our YouTube channel, Primetime Fantasy Podcast. Hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell to get notifications, and drop a like on any video that you do watch. Make sure to share those links with your friends, with your league mates to help grow the Primetime Fantasy Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please let us know on social media. PrimeTimeFFPod on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube is Primetime Fantasy Podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for joining. Thank you for supporting. And we'll talk to you guys next week.